So students, our today's topic is conditions for the validity of distribution law or limitations of distribution law. So first of all, what is the meaning of this topic? इसका मतलब है कि किन कंडीशंस में या कौन कौन सी वो कंडीशंस हैं जिनके अंडर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लॉ वैलिड होगा, और अगर मैं कहूँ कि जिन कंडीशंस के अंडर वैलिड होगा वो फॉलो नहीं हो रही हैं तो वो उसकी बन गई लिमिटेशंस. सो दिस टॉपिक इज either conditions for the validity of distribution law or I can say limitations of distribution law. So first condition for the validity of distribution law is that the two solvents should be immiscible. Now I had told you when I introduced you about the definition of distribution law that for the distribution of a solute the two solvents should be immiscible. So first condition for the validity of distribution law is that the two solvents should not mix with each other. Only then distribution law will be applicable. Secondly, the temperature should remain constant throughout the experiment. Now what is the meaning of this line? इसका मतलब है कि अगर हम पार्टीशन कोफिशिएंट स्टडी कर रहे हैं किसी सॉल्यूट का दो इमिसिबल सॉल्वेंट्स के बीच में, तो जितनी देर आप पार्टीशन कोफिशिएंट स्टडी करेंगे तो टेम्परेचर पूरी ड्यूरेशन में कांस्टेंट रहना चाहिए. इट शुड नॉट चेंज. व्हाई? बिकॉज इफ टेम्परेचर विल चेंज देन द म्यूचुअल solubility of the two solutes will also change and the partition coefficient will also change with change in temperature. So second condition is that the temperature should be kept constant. Thirdly, the mutual solubility of the two solvents should not change by the addition of the solute. The meaning of this line is that when we add a solute to a pair of two liquids, then their mutual solubility should not change. It should remain as it was prior to the addition of the solvent. उनकी जो आपस की solubility है उसमें कोई change नहीं आना चाहिए. Next condition is that the distribution law holds good only for dilute solutions. It cannot be applied to concentrated solutions. Therefore, fourth condition for the validity of the distribution law is that the solution should be dilute. And lastly, the solute should remain in the same molecular state in both the solvents. Now what is the meaning of the same molecular state? Same molecular state here means that the solute should exist in the same molecular formula, or I can say same form that in which it exists before the addition. That is, it should not undergo association or dissociation in any of the solvents. मतलब कि solute ना तो टूटना चाहिए ना आपस में जुड़ना चाहिए. अगर solute टूट रहा है या जुड़ रहा है means if it is undergoing dissociation or association, then distribution law will not be applicable. In such cases, modified form of distribution law is applicable, but normal form, that is k is equal to C1 upon C2, is not applicable. And an example of this is the distribution of benzoic acid between benzene and water. For example, when we dissolve or we study the partition coefficient of benzoic acid between benzene and water, then benzoic acid undergoes dimerization in benzene. Dimerization here means that two molecules of benzoic acid combine with each other through hydrogen bonding in benzene. So in benzene they will exist in the form of dimer, whereas in the water benzoic acid will remain as single molecule. So here I mean to say that distribution law is applicable to the same molecular state of the solute in both the solvents. If the molecular state changes in one of the solvent, then distribution law will not be applicable. And this was the example of association. Now if I talk about dissociation, for example, if I take HCl and study its distribution coefficient or partition coefficient between benzene and water, then you know, all of you know that HCl is easily soluble in water and it undergoes dissociation to form H positive and Cl negative. So in water HCl dissociates into two moieties, H positive and Cl negative, whereas in benzene it will not. So the molecular state of HCl is different in both the cases. So I can say that normal distribution law will also not be applicable in this case. So that was all about the limitations of distribution law or conditions for the validity of distribution law. Here the topic is validity. I earlier told you that the conditions under which it is valid, they are the conditions for validity, and if these conditions are not applicable for some liquids, then they will become limitations. If I give you an example, I would say, what is the limitation of distribution law? So I can say it will not be applicable if solute undergoes two solvents are miscible. Secondly, it will not be applicable if temperature changes. Thirdly, distribution law will not be applicable when mutual solubility of the two solvents changes. And also in case of concentrated solutions, distribution law does not hold good. And another last limitation is that if solute undergoes association or dissociation, then distribution law will also not be applicable. So these are the limitations. So that was all about the conditions for the validity of distribution law. Thank you.